No, it's not hard to use. There are so many people who work tirelessly day in and day out to make it easy for you and me to use this. I'm not a genius. I'm not. I'm not. I don't know how to program. I'm like barely. I'm like learning web dev. I. How long have I been using Linux? I've been using it for 10 years. Okay, 10 years. Actually, a bit longer than that. But you know what? Um, until recently, all I did was like use it very normally, minimal customization, and just for like schoolwork or general like surfing around the internet on some web browser. Okay, so Linux, it's not hard to use. Anybody can use it, even me. I started using it when I was a young teenager, uh, which was 10 years ago now. And it's easy. It was easy back then. It's easy now. It's even easier now than it was back then. You can game on it. You can do everything you want to do on it, really. Steam, like if you're a gamer, Steam, you can install Steam, and I forget what the fuck they use, but it's like automatically using Wine just through Steam. I don't remember what it was using, but I tried it out maybe a week ago so I could play Quake Live. Quake Live, which only runs on Windows, by the way. How'd they manage that one? I don't know. Uh, it was easy. I went into the settings, the preferences, I checked whatever the fuck, the compatibility layer, and it ran. It ran good. It ran fine. I mean, granted, it is Quake, but I am like using like an ultrabook fucking processor, ThinkPad T440. It's Linux is good. It's easy to use, and you may notice that I have some bullshit running in the background. This is a screen recorder. It's recording one of my screens. You can see right here. This is a WF recorder. I don't remember what it's called, that stands for, but it's for Wayland. And I all I did was I flagged it with A to record audio. I didn't have to fuck around with that. I did have to install Pulse Audio for this to work, but A, record audio. If I didn't flag that, it would just record the screen. Okay, I didn't have to fuck around with Pulse Audio that much. I just had to um, I had to change the default um, the default device for ALSA or something like that. But Pulse Audio worked fine. Like here's I'm using Void Linux. It's like it's not known for being the easiest distribution to use. Um, but and I did run into a few problems, but I was able to figure them out eventually. Okay, so the first problem I was having was I didn't know how to use a program to connect to Wi-Fi through the command line. Okay, and Void Linux has a GUI installer. It's not as fancy as some of the other installers out there, but it does use like terminal graphics, and they do make it quite easy for you to use. Like you just do some like minimal googling, or you just try it out. Just try it. Nothing bad will happen. Just try it, and you can do it. And what the problem I was having was for some reason uh, the program is called WPA supplicant, right? And Um, I didn't know how to use it. I was falling into the trap of like looking up questions by people on forums and like to try to figure it out when I should have just been looking at the documentation. Okay, so that's a trap that I've fallen pretty often. I want to take like the easy way, go in a forum, uh, find the answer to my question, try to do it. But you know what? Usually the answer is right there in the documentation. Something else that's good about Linux, you okay? So say I wanted to see the documentation for something. All you do is type man, and I'll do it for this. What? Okay, WF recorder. Okay, and this pops up like every on in void. I don't know if it's like this on every this distro, but you just type in man. That's short for manual, and then the page number for the entry in the manual, and the name of the command in the command line, and you get all this information. You don't even have to go on the internet. It's just right there. And this does tell you like all you need to know to use this program. Okay, so I think for this I didn't even look up how to use it online. I looked right at this and it just worked. It was good. It works very well actually. Like it makes a very like small file format. Okay, so what else am I doing here? This right here, my webcam. Um, that just worked. Okay. What I did was so this is playing through MPV player, which is like doesn't really matter. It's a good player. It has a lot of like you can like run it from the command line really easily, stuff like that. All right. So how did I do that? Uh, man MPV, and I was trying to figure this out because I saw somebody have their webcam just as a floating window like this. It was Luke Smith. And I thought, gee, how do you do that? How do you have a webcam that's just a floating window with no border, no nothing, no huge fucking GUI bullshit down here, uh, with like something that says cheese, smile for the camera, whatever the fuck. So I was just sort of like looking up, okay, how do I get just a webcam to display on Linux? And it turned out I was asking the wrong question. And that's often the case on Linux is things are easy, but you need to know how to do them. Like, okay, so in this case, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how to ask the right question to get what I wanted to happen. All right. So it turns out you can get your webcam stream to play in multimedia players like M Player, VLC Player, stuff like that. And I had MPV Player because I heard it was good, and I'm like, okay, I wonder if I can do that. Sure enough, scroll down. Where the hell is it? It's in here somewhere, I assure you. Scroll down. I know this makes it look really easy, right? But I assure you, it is easy if you know what you're looking for, okay? You just need to get used to this kind of thing. If you get used to it, then you won't want to go back. If you allow yourself to not know how to do something and try to figure out how to do it in a different way, a way that's more efficient, now all I do to pull up this webcam is I have a keybind to do it. All I do to start recording is one command in the terminal, right? And you could search these man files. I don't know how to do that. Okay, so all right, whatever. I may have searched it earlier. I don't fucking remember. That is something like you don't remember like how you figured out how to do something a lot of times, but all right. So once I knew the command to get this to do that, all I had to do was, and I do know how to. Okay. Next, 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 next. You can see I'm still a noob. Oh, okay. I know what to search for. Print. A capital P. Print. Okay. Here we go. So this right here was in that manual. This AV slash VL blah 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 blah. It was right there in the manual. It might have been in the documentation online. It might have been in that manual. Either way, once I found out that you could uh, capture the stream of webcams in VLC and MPlayer, it was easy enough to find that you could do the same thing in MPV, right? And I found this recording software, the MF Player, right on the Void Wiki packages. I just searched um, for recorder in the packages, and I saw this one. I didn't want to use OBS because I want to stay away from that. It's like it's a lot to just record your screen, right? And so, and let me actually change my config here because um, and you'll see how noob I am right now. I actually don't have to do that. I can just DD. Wait, I don't want to do that. I want to DD this first and then DD that. So what that does is when I delete that, how do I get to the top? God, see, I don't know how to use this very well yet, but I plan on figuring out like how to use this eventually. Just through sheer like forcing myself to use it. Not even like forcing, because I do want to use it, and I'll put it right here. So I don't know. You can see how fucking noob I am, right? And I'll call this. What should I call this? Open webcam stream. And See, completely new. All right. And I don't have this Vim like set up the way I want it set up yet either, and I don't know how to use it very well, but I know how to use it. Like I can use this. It's not holding me back to use it that much. Uh, and the more I use it, the more better it will be. So I earlier I noticed that uh, I made like a new uh, like binding section when there was already a binding section. So I just moved this over, and that just helps me in the future when I want to edit this. It helps me like if I want to share it, like give people an example. Um, like if I get any of my friends to use Linux or something, I don't even know, but I don't know. Like once you get used to it, it does feel better than using Windows. It feels, and using Void isn't that hard either. Uh, like the benefits of Void is like I've heard something about like containers, but I haven't looked into that yet. Another thing about Void, it uses like the run it instead of D what system D, and you know I don't really know the difference. I'm running Wayland. I'm running Sway. Sway is like I can see the benefits of using Wayland instead of Xorg already because like I'll show you some examples of some benefits that I've gained from switching from Xorg to Sway. I mean to Wayland. Um, okay, keyboard configuration. I can do my keyboard configuration right here in my Sway config, right? I swapped caps and escape. So escape is caps and caps is escape now. And that's actually a lot better for me because I'm trying to use Vim and you know, moving my hand to use escape is kind of annoying. Uh, like I mean, it's not really saving me any time yet, but in the long term, it will save me time. It will prevent my hands from cramping. It will help me, just a little bit. All right. So another example, you can see it right here. Do you see what I see? Okay, it's this. Okay, instead of using a fucking R&R or AR&R or whatever to configure your displays, you can just do it right here in the Sway config. You can do everything right here in the Sway config. I mean, a lot of stuff, not everything, but it does handle like it does like make it easier because you can just use one config and you can configure your keyboard, you can configure your displays, you can configure your Windows manager, um, and I think there's a lot more you can do that I'm not doing. Like this idle stuff, that's like another thing I think uh, System D was handling or something. and now Sway Idle handles it. And I haven't set it up yet, but I should set it up pretty soon, because as of right now, if I just leave my my machine, it just perpetually stays on forever. And I don't want it to turn off. I don't want it to power off. I would like it to lock. I would like it to, I don't know, just turn off the screen, something like that, just to save a little bit of power. Uh, make it so I don't have to do anything, and I can just like go to bed, and eventually the light will turn off. Uh, just make my life easier. I'll just, I'll enable it right now. Right? Where's my cursor? Okay, there it is. So I'll search up to idle. That would be fine. And I'll there. And you know what? I don't need this keyboard configuration shit up there either. So 2DD, wait, no, 3DD. Okay. And then uh I can just put it here under input configuration, right? So I'm trying to keep it like with this, right? So I'll put that right there, and that's a little bit more readable. And I'll get rid of that, and I think this is actually like correct for my touchpad, but I'll figure that out later. So I'll write that, and that's a little bit better of a config, just slightly. All right. What else? I made a video yesterday about my browser setup. I'll just quickly look at that again. Uh, so uh, yesterday I showed off that I was doing this thing where and I actually changed the directory name from projects to capital P. So I'll just quickly change all those here. Just I could probably be doing this more efficiently. I'm still using this. It's I haven't figured out a better way to do this yet. I guess the answer would just be use Tridactyl, and that's it. And you can see that today I was actually having a lot of trouble with The problem I was having was um, I could not for the life of me figure out how to rebind uh, escape to. Uh, I could not figure out for the life of me how to rebind escape to caps lock, or in the reverse, or swap them, or whatever. I ended up swapping them, right? I couldn't figure that out. I was looking up like how to do it in Wayland because I knew it was easy to do an i3. I I don't know. I was looking up all kinds of stuff and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. But eventually I gave up. I went on Reddit and I asked, okay, how do I change this shit? And it turns out Sway makes it super easy. Wayland makes it super easy. I guess this has more to do with Sway than Wayland because there was this thing I was looking at called Interception Tools, and I'll show you this real quick. This thing, okay? This is it's a service for System D that runs at a low level and it intercepts every single thing that you write on the keyboard. And uh, I wouldn't use this anymore because, you know, you really trust something that intercepts every keystroke? I mean, I'm sure you can, but since this has come out, I don't know if this is still a problem in like other desktop like okay, what is this sway shit? It's a Wayland compositor. All right. So the way that Wayland works, it doesn't render everything. It leaves that up to the compositor, which is synonymous with like the desktop environment or the uh, Windows manager. It doesn't handle that shit directly, and so that kind of makes things easier and it makes things harder because like there's all these old ways of doing this with in X, right? There's X bind keys, there's X mod map, there's there's a just off the top of my head, those are two that I remember, and those are really easy to use. You just you just edit something, like you install it, you edit something, and it runs this daemon and interacts with X or something. And you know what? As it turns out, it's actually easier in Sway because you just edit that shit in your Sway config. And I'm like, even though I've been using Linux for a long time, I'm still a noob. I didn't have to learn that much to use Linux. Um, once, like, like here's how I started out using Linux. Originally, I had this crappy computer from the thrift store, right? And I don't even know. It ran like Windows 98 or something like that. It was old, but it wasn't working. It's like software wise. So I heard that it was possible to install something other than Windows, and so I burned a CD-ROM. You don't use those much anymore, huh? And I installed Linux from the CD-ROM. It was It was Ubuntu. It was back in the GNOME 2 days. And it was so easy to install. It just worked. I didn't have to know anything. I was just a kid. I like I was even dumber than I am now, which is pretty dumb. And I didn't learn that much about Linux other than like I didn't really learn anything about how it worked or you know anything about it until like recently when I started actually trying to, because you don't really have to. All right, and you don't have to install Void and do all this or install Arch or God forbid install Get Gentoo. And those actually aren't that hard to install. That you just if you just try to do it, eventually you'll get it. Anybody, if you just try, eventually anybody will get it if they don't give up. It's not difficult. People, like, you're not fucking coding this shit from scratch. You're just using programs that other people already wrote. It's not hard, and your system will run faster. It'll be more stable. It won't, like, over time get worse because the system requirements on Linux go up so much more slowly compared to the system requirements on something like uh, Mac OS or Windows. Like you'll notice that your computer is getting slower over time, and that doesn't happen on Linux much. Like there is stuff like um, the web browser that time after time, year after year, it gets more expensive to run. But even then, you can use like lighter weight web browsers if you really want to. There's like Qt browser, which is like there's I forget what it's called, but it's like some WebKit shit that it's like a very lightweight browser, and there's ones that actually do have like a lot of features. Now, mind you, it's not going to have like everything that Firefox or Chrome or whatever has, but it does do what a web browser is supposed to do. Okay, I don't even know how long I've been going on. That's honestly enough.